All right. Thank you for tuning into another episode of Stream of Consciousness. We are rocking with you on a Tuesday. Um, one day away. They started at midnight Thursday. So for all us civilized people who live on the West Coast, that's one thing I want to talk about. How can you be a fan of sports and you live on the East Coast? It doesn't really make sense. Lakers games start at 10 o'clock at night. Like, come on, you can't even watch the. But Yeah, so it looks like the Knicks just made a trade to clear up cap space for Jalen Brunson. So I talked about this, my good, the bad, the ugly for the Knicks. That's probably going to drop tomorrow. I'll drop them in the Hawks. So check out that. Check out the Brooklyn Nets one. But it looks like, man, this is what the Knicks want, man. They want this. They all in on this Jalen Brunson situation. And I don't understand it. Like the Knicks, they're just so thirsty. Like, like you're doing all this to clear, like Jalen Brunson. Like, what about Jalen Brunson that makes you think undersized, 6'1"? How old is he? I think he's an older player, 25 years old already. So it's not like you're buying a supreme upside. Like he is what he is now, right? 16 points and 5 assists. This is what makes you want to clear out max space. Like, make it make sense. Like what? Huh? I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon. Like look at this. Like let's look at what he did versus the Warriors. Playoffs. Is this right? He averaged 12 points versus the Warriors. That can't be right. Played 5 games, 15. No, that's not right. He had a 31-point game, 20-point game. I mean, I just think you're just smooth and hungry. The John Wall just got signed by the Clippers. I would rather have John Wall. Now, maybe he wants to play for a title and he wasn't on the table, right? I get that. But you're the Knicks. You don't have to be so thirsty. For all my old school people, y'all remember Jerome James? He had one solid series for the Seattle Supersonics. And then the Knicks rushed in and paid him. It's just like they rushed in to play Evan Fournier, rushed in to play Kemba. Like, just relax for a second. He's 25 already. 25, about to be 26. 26 at the start of the season. Like you're rushing for 16 points a game. I don't get it, man. A max slot for him. I don't get it. If anything, your best player is RJ Barrett. You should be trying to empower him. Like bringing in this guy and paying him max slot, like, is that empowering him? Like, So yeah, they trade Burks and they trade Nerlens well for him. Is it's just interesting that they did that. I don't know if they just had a fascination with him, so we'll see what happens to him. Westbrook picked up his 47.1 million option. I mean, everybody knows that. I don't even know why this is it would even be a matter of a conversation. Of course, he picked up that extent. So we'll see if the Lakers can trade him. No one seems to be interested in their offer of his expiring contract and a first-round pick to get a better player. We'll see. Windhorst said today that he doesn't think the Kyrie Irving situation is over, that he might still push for a trade. We'll see if that happens, but there's a lot of things, if that does happen, that time is of the essence for. I mean, if they're going to get that pick and then trade him away, then the Nets could then use that package to trade, Westbrook for some other players. So it's just like you would think if that's going to happen, it should happen sooner than later. But I don't know. We'll see. The Wolves agreed to an extension for Taurean Prince, $8 million a year. I thought that he was actually a solid player, and a team that needed some, wing depth could definitely look at him. But, the Minnesota Timberwolves went ahead and locked him up. Timberwolves are an interesting team. DeJounte Murray on the Spurs. There's rumors that he's going to be traded. That's what I read to the Hawks for multiple first-round picks and Gallo's contract. If that's all it takes to get him, that's a home run, because then you still have all your other players to trade and add pieces for other trades, or you could keep them if you want. So yeah, it says discussing deal for all-star point guard. Yeah, so it said 3 first-round picks. You know, people said that might be too much, but to me, I think he fits really well versus with Trae Young. To have 2 primary ball handlers, you know that's the strength of your team, and maybe having the 3-and-D guys on the wing is a better look with that. I do think that they should play on Kongwu more. So I like this move for them, and if they can flip for Jason Collins for something, we'll see. What that turns out to be. But I like this move for them. In the NFL. It was reported today that the NFL is going for an indefinite suspension on Deshaun Watson. Let me pull that up. Pull up Pro Football Talk. It's expected to last several days. It looks like if the NFL wants to suspend you, they're going to suspend you. That's just point blank period. If they want to suspend you, they're going to suspend you. That's what they did to Tom Brady. The NFL wants an indefinite suspension, including more of at least a year, which to me makes sense because you don't know if more allegations are going to come down the pipeline. So they asked Baker Mayfield today, like, would you consider returning? And he said it's up to them to reach out to him. So that's not completely shutting it down. And I think honestly, I think that's the way the Browns should move. He's on a 1-year deal. You can guarantee him that you won't tag him next year, right? Make a concession to him. And I think you should bring him back. He knows the system. You've upgraded the roster. I mean, you've gone to the AFC, I don't think they call it the conference round, or I forget what it's called. But you've gone deep in the playoffs with him as your quarterback. And you've seen flashes of greatness from him in the past. I would just run it. I think that's the best thing move for them. And it kind of clears up the situation and allows Carolina and Seattle to move on. I would run it if I'm the Browns. I'm running it. Why throw away this season? You have a really good roster. Why throw away the season? So yeah, it says, I think both sides are ready to move on. So that's what he says here. But he says, no, I think for that to happen, there would have to be some reaching out. Yeah. So when someone says, I think both sides are ready to move on, but for that to happen, they would have to reach out. I mean, that means that, he might be willing to talk about it. So that's what I would do. We're not throwing a season down the drain with Jacoby Brissett. So we're not doing that. This is a boring time of year. Terry McLaurin reaches a 3-year extension. Wide receivers are just getting paid. They getting paid, man. Congrats to them. They just get their coinage is just all of them got their bread. The only one that wants his bread is Debo. That's the only one that hasn't get paid yet, and he wants more than everybody because of his versatility as a runner out of the backfield. So, shout out to wide receiver position. Shout out to Christian Kirk. Him getting 17 million just set off. That sent a raven to every wide receiver's agent that no, we need to get paid today. He's getting 17. We need 20 something. So that's interesting. And then finally, I wanted to talk about, let me see if I can pull it up here. I wanted to talk about Steve Ballmer paying Zubac $33 million in extension. You might say, hey, that's not big news. But the big news is they didn't have to pay him this year. They had him at a 7.5 million team option. They're paying him 11 million this year. They're paying him $4 million. And because they're over the tax, this puts another additional $15 million on their tax bill. And they don't care. They're paying him. They don't care. They're paying him. I say that to say this. Remember, I said it before. If you can't pay for these teams, sell the team. You know, Phoenix owners being cheap. We see this in the NFL. Like, if you can't pay for the team, sell the team. If you complain about paying luxury tax, you know, the Lakers, they're crying poverty. Oh, I'm upset because of our luxury tax bill. If you can't pay for the team, sell the team. If you sell the Lakers, you get like $8 billion. Can't pay for the team, sell the team. You know, I like this. I like the owners that are going for it. And they do need to talk about this luxury tax stuff going forward, because why is it prohibitive that I'm willing to pay for my team and you're not willing to pay for your team? Like, why are owners being punished for that? Like, that doesn't make sense. I'm willing to pay for my guys. You're not willing to pay for your guys. So what does that have to do with me? Titans of industry, pleading poverty, wooden welfare checks. Luxury tax is just a welfare check, because the teams that are not under the tax get a check from the taxpayers at the end of the year. Titans of industry asking for wheelchair checks. It don't make sense. We're in a small market. You didn't know Oklahoma City was in the small market when you moved them there? You know the Bucks were a small market when you bought them? The Pacers were a small market, et cetera, et cetera. It's like you don't want the team, even the Bucks. I got to call out the Bucks. The roster was thinned out because they didn't want to pay for PJ Tucker and pay for wings. That's why they traded Dante DiVincenzo. They didn't want to pay. And it's just like, fam, you just won a title. You have to pay. You have Giannis, a generational talent in his prime. You can't go cheap. You have to pay. The price of the brick is the price of the brick. If you can't pay, get out the cocaine game. If you can't play, don't get in the game. This is the price of the game. The game is the game. So shout out to Ballmer. Shout out to the Clippers. They're the favorite. The owner said if we stay healthy, you know, that's the main thing of them winning the title, if they stay healthy, which is true. If they stay healthy, they win. So if they stay healthy, I don't say they win. I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens. But if they stay healthy, they're the favorite. So I'm just gonna go ahead and leave it there. Check out the other videos that I'm gonna drop this week. The game is the game. All right. Thank you for watching this clip. Do me a favor. Push the button. Hit subscribe. Come on, man. Push it.
Push the goddamn button. Push the goddamn button. You heard what she said.
Man, do what's right. You heard her. Push the button. The game is the game.
So what's up, man? What's up with you otherwise, you know? The game is a game. Always.